What's going on, guys? It's been quite a while since I uploaded the last video, so I'm sorry for the delay. So in the last episode we talked about how to write comment in C++, and in this episode we are going to examine what variables are and how we use them inside our programs. As you probably know, a variable is a named location in memory that is used to hold a value that may be modified by the program. Or you might simply say, variables are containers for storing data values. So in C++ there are different types of variables defined with different keywords. For example, we have int, which stores integer, we have double, which basically stores floating point numbers, we have char, which stores single character, and we have string, which stores text such as hi there, hello world, and we have bool, which stores value with two states, either true or false. And by the way, don't worry too much about this bunch of keywords I've mentioned. We're going to be talking just about them in our next episode. I just kind of mentioned them here in this episode just for you guys to know that they are there and you can use them. So every variable in C++ must be declared before they can be used for the very first time. And essentially what variable declaration is that it tells the computer what type of data the variable will hold. So to create or declare a variable, you must specify the type and then assign it a value. And the general form of declaration is first the type, then followed by the variable name, and then the assignment operator, and then the value, and then end with a semicolon, because remember, every C++ statement ends with a semicolon. So this is actually the general form of declaration, the general form of declaring a variable. This is actually how we declare a variable. So let's actually go ahead and create a real variable. What I mean by a real variable, I mean a variable that we can actually use inside our program, because this is not actually a variable. This is just a blueprint. You know, this is just kind of a form or a blueprint. This is just a blueprint of how we can create a variable in C++. So this is actually the general form of declaration. This is actually how we declare a variable in C++. So here type must be a valid C++ data type, such as int, float, double, char, or bool. And the word variable here is the actual name of the variable, meaning that the name we're going to be given the variable. Because when you declare or create a variable, you need to also give it a name. You need to also specify a name for that variable. And the equal sign here is actually called the assignment operator. We use the equal sign in order to actually assign a value to the variable, and then followed by the value we wanted to assign to the variable, and then end with a semicolon. So let's go ahead and create a real variable, a variable that we can actually use inside our program. So let's say, for instance, we wanted to create a variable of int data type, and then I wanted to call the variable num1, and then the assignment operator, then the value. So in my example here, I wanted to give this variable the value of 10. So this is actually how we declare a variable in C++. We have declared a variable called num1, and we assign 10 to it as the value. So there's basically two processes happening here in this declaration. First, we have the declaration, and then and then initialization. So the declaration simply means the creation of the variable. First, we create the variable. We define the variable to have an int data type, and then call the variable num1. This is the creation of the variable. And then we initialize the variable by assigning 10 to it using the assignment operator and then the value. So this is actually one way to create a variable. There's a couple of different ways that we can use to actually create a variable in C++. So this is actually one way to create a variable where we'll declare and also initialize the variable at the same time. So let me actually go ahead and console out this variable we've just created. So we're going to be seeing 10 as our output, because we're going to be printing out num1 onto the console. So I have just included this endl manipulator. This is actually a manipulator. It basically inserts new line to our output. So instead of attaching our program output with the default message that come along with the console that says press any key to continue, it will then separate our output with the default message that come along with the console. So this is actually what we are doing by including this endl manipulator. So let's actually go ahead and run the program. Yes, the program is compiling. So let's actually see what we're going to be getting. We're going to be getting 10. Oops, the console just pop up and go. Yes, I have forgotten. I'm using an older version of Visual Studio, so I'm going to have to manually ask the console to stay by including this code. System pause, yes, and then semicolon, and then let's go ahead and run again. Let's run the program again, and we're gonna have our output, which is 10. Now the console will actually stay for us to read exactly what we asked the program to actually print for us. So we have 10 because num1 is of course equal to 10. As you can see now, we have 10 because we console out num1. So this is actually one way to declare or create a variable. So the second method is we can declare the variable first without assigning any value to it, and then assign the value after or later. So what I mean by this is, as you can see here in this first declaration, we declare and also initialize the variable instantly. We declare and initialize the variable at the same time. So the second method is you can declare the variable first without assigning it any value, and then assign or initialize the variable after or later. So let's go ahead and do this. So say we have a variable called num2 and semicolon. Well, what we just do here is only declaration. So this is actually a declaration. We've just created a variable. Now we have an empty container, a variable without any value. This is called an uninitialized variable. So to initialize an uninitialized variable, you just need to reference the variable and then assign it a value directly. So let's give this variable 20, and this is actually called initialization, meaning assigning a value to the variable. So this is actually another way that we can actually create a variable in C++. So let's go ahead and console out this the second variable we've created called num2, and yes, so let's go ahead and run it. We're going to be having 20 as our output because num2 is of course equal to 20. So hurry up. The console is taking longer than expected. Yes, we have 20 because num2 is of course equal to 20. So yes, this is actually the another way that we can create a variable. We can declare the variable first without assigning it any value, and then assign it a value after or later. So we can also declare and initialize multiple variable at the same time. We just need to separate each variable with a with comma. Let me actually go ahead and show you how we can declare and also initialize multiple variables in C++. So I'm gonna have an int data type. And I wanted to declare at least 3 variables. Say for instance, I have a num3 equals to 30, comma, num4 is equals to 40, comma, and num5 is equals to 50. semicolon. And when you reach to the last one, you don't need to put any comma again. You just need to close it with the semicolon as usual, as every C++ code is end with a semicolon. So this is exactly how you do it. When you reach to the last one, you just need to put semicolon instead of a comma. So this is actually a declaration and initialization of multiple variables. Well, this is actually the way we can create and initialize multiple variables of the same data type. So you just need to separate each variable with a comma and then close off with a semicolon. So this is how we do it. So let me actually go ahead and console out these variables I've created. So say for instance I wanted to console out num3. So NL, and let's run the program. We're going to be having 30 because num3 is of course equals to 30. So let's go. Yes, we have our output 30 because num3 is equals to 30, so we are having 30. So let's actually go ahead and console out num4 and run the program again. We're going to be having 40 because num4 is equal to 40. Okay, yes, so you understand the pattern. So this is how we keep on going. If I were to print out num5 now, I'm going to be getting 50 because num5 is equals to 50. So you can also declare multiple variables without assigning any value to them and then assign the values later. Just like we do with the single variable, you can declare the variable without assigning any value to them and then later on assign the value to them or assign them value after. So let's go ahead and actually do that. Let me actually go ahead and show you how you could create multiple variables without assigning any value to them and then assign the value later. So let me actually go ahead and create a variable of int data type called num6, comma num7, comma num8, and semicolon, because I wanted to create only 3 just like the previous one. So this is only the declaration. This is only the declaration, right? So we've created 3 variables, 3 empty variables without any value. So we can later on or after decide to give it a value. So say for instance num6 should have the value of 60 and semicolon, say num7 should have the value of 70 of course, and num8 should have 80 as well. So this is actually how we initialize uninitialized multiple variables in C++. So this is basically called initialization. And the same thing, we actually copy and paste this code. Same thing here, also initialization. So this is actually how it is. So this is actually how we declare or create a variable and also initialize or assign them values. So I think this video is going to be a little lengthy. I've been recording for quite long. So I think I'm going to make this video into 2 parts, where this will be the first part and we're going to continue in the second part. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode and see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.